When Columbus first sought this continent, when Christ suffered on the cross, when Moses led Israel through the Red Sea, even when Adam first emerged from the hands of his Creator, then as now, Niagara roared here. The eyes of those extinct giants, whose bones fill the mounds of America, have beheld Niagara, just as ours do now.
Nephilim. According to this biblical narrative, the Nephilim emerged as a result of the union between the sons of God, interpreted as angels or celestial beings, and the daughters of men. Among the most famous and significant giants in history were Gilgamesh, Goliath, Og, Hercules, Perseus, and Samson. During the 19th century, many discoveries of skeletal remains were made in ancient burial mounds in North America and around the world. Today, not a single news article announces anything about giants or ancient discoveries. If something related to giants is discovered, it quickly becomes classified and hidden from the public. It wasn't like this in the 19th and early 20th centuries. Every year, there were newspaper articles highlighting the discovery of ancient giant skeletons. It was common to find giant bones in America when the first immigrants prepared crops, roads, or buildings. The New York Times, in particular, wrote many articles about giant discoveries. Let's look at some examples. For instance, on May 25, 1882, it was reported that a dozen skeletons of men and women mixed with animals were found in a mound of 60 feet in diameter and 12 feet high. One of the skulls was perfectly preserved and had abnormally elongated bones, evidently from a giant. Or, on May 5, 1885, students of indigenous archaeology excavated several mounds and found 4 skeletons measuring 7 feet and one measuring 8 feet. The skeleton's feet pointed eastward, with partially burnt bones. Another report from the San Antonio Express described how workers unearthed a giant skull twice the size of a normal human near Victoria, Texas. It was the largest one found in the world, and a normal-sized skull was also discovered. Another article from the St. Paul Globe in 1904 stated that an 11-foot skeleton was unearthed in Nevada. I will leave the links to these findings in the description. What's intriguing is that these discoveries were seemingly normal for the public. An article from the New York Times in 1908 mentioned that skeletons buried in Mexico included more than 200 skeletons of men over 8 feet tall who predated the Aztecs. One of the skeletons measured 8 feet and 11 inches. There have been many articles where it was commonplace in the past to report in news media the discovery of giant skeletons, such as in this article. It mentions that in the past, larger ones were found. In 1830, a giant exhibited in Rouen had a height of 10 feet, and the giant Galabra, brought from Arabia to Rome, had the same height. Phanom, who lived during the time of Eugene II, was 11.5 feet tall. In Tenerife, they found a skull in a mountain cave with 60 teeth, and the skeleton was estimated to be just under 15 feet tall. The giant Farragus, according to reports, was 28 feet tall, and in 1814, a giant's tomb with a height of no less than 30 feet was found. In 1590, a skull with a 19-foot-tall skeleton was discovered, and in 1623, a tomb near a castle measuring 30 feet in length and 16 in width was found. Kentalocus rex, whose skeleton was found, measured 24 feet tall. This tells us that in Antiquity, there were more skeletons with greater heights. In both Egyptian and Sumerian archaeology, giant rulers are depicted in their paintings and statues. In the Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh, he is described as a hero, a military warrior, 2/3 god and 1/3 man. Gilgamesh was one of the Nephilim, descendants of the sons of God and a human woman. And here's the interesting part. A German expedition claims to have found the real tomb of Gilgamesh in 2003. They claim to have found the remains in Uruk, which is in present-day Iraq, and matches the description of the ancient city in the epic. 1 month after the tomb was discovered, the order for intervention in Iraq was given, and armed forces arrived to seal it off. The Baghdad Museum was surrounded. Perhaps the real weapon of mass destruction was the DNA of Gilgamesh's body, the last of the Nephilim, which was found fully preserved. There are even leaked videos on the internet showing the state of his body before the military intervention in Iraq. But who were the Nephilim? According to this biblical narrative, the Nephilim emerged as a result of the union between the sons of God, interpreted as angels or celestial beings, and the daughters of men. Zecharia Sitchin, in the book series The Earth Chronicles, addressed the idea of the Nephilim and linked it to his theories about the Anunnaki and extraterrestrial influence on Earth's history. The Nephilim were seen as giant beings with special characteristics due to their mixed lineage of extraterrestrial and human origins. They were powerful and had an unusual physical stature, playing a significant role in ancient events, including the construction of megalithic monuments and the transmission of advanced knowledge to early humanity. They were a kind of demigods who influenced the cultural and technological evolution of humanity. The Anunnaki god Enki, the creator of the human race, also mixed with a human woman. From this relationship, a child named Adapa was born. He was educated and supported the Anunnaki as an advisor or priest of Enki, maturing into a skilled and wise adult, as he was the direct son of a royal Anunnaki. According to legend, Adapa was a human living in the city of Eridu. One day, while fishing in the Persian Gulf, Adapa disrupted the south wind, causing a disturbance in the celestial order. The supreme god Enki decided to call Adapa to his presence to answer for his actions. Adapa, fearing the wrath of the gods, prepared meticulously before meeting Enki. He fasted and dressed in mourning attire, believing that this would gain the sympathy of the gods. When Adapa finally stood before Enki, he was offered 2 meals, one of immortality and the other of death. Following his god's advice, Adapa rejected the meal of immortality, thinking it would be disobedient to the gods. However, Adapa failed to realize that he had made a mistake, as the meal of immortality would have bestowed immortality upon humans. Instead, by rejecting it, Adapa condemned humanity to mortality. The myth of Adapa reflects important themes in Mesopotamian mythology, such as the relationship between gods and humans, the quest for immortality, and humanity's fragility in the face of divine design. Adapa married a woman named Antiquity, and together they gave rise to a new generation of smarter humans. However, this new generation also inherited the lust for gold and power from the Anunnaki, leading to violent behavior among humans. According to Sumerian texts, over time, humans began to reproduce excessively, despite the Anunnaki's orders. This led to food shortages in Eridu, and the city could no longer accommodate so many people and giants. The Anunnaki had already collected enough gold for Nibiru, so they decided to expel humans and giants from their sacred city, condemning them to live in the fields and forests. Here is where the similarity exists between the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Bible. Both humans and giants settled on Earth for thousands of years. Humans, without the support of the Anunnaki, were able to build their own cities, while the giants lived in caves. However, the scarcity of food and animals was not enough to sustain both races created by the Anunnaki inhabiting the Earth. Soon, giants and humans began to coexist. But without the presence of the Anunnaki to establish rules, the Nephilim became the most powerful beings on Earth and demanded tribute from humans. Over time, they ceased to be heroes and became evil and despotic rulers. The texts of the Dead Sea suggest that the Nephilim were corrupt giants who introduced evil and depravity to the Earth. The interaction of the Nephilim with humans is seen as the primary cause of the evil that led God to cleanse the Earth with the universal flood. This is a narrative that is a global phenomenon, transcending cultural and geographical boundaries. The universal flood is recounted in the Bible, in Sumerian mythology, in Hindu tales, in Greek mythology, in Incan tradition, in Aztec mythology, in the Mayan Popol Vuh, and in the stories of Native Americans from the Hopi people. They all speak of a great deluge that punished humanity. These diverse narratives highlight how the universal flood has left its mark on the mythologies of cultures across the earth, which we will discuss in our next chapter.